Hello everyone. Tonight we dive into one of the most unsettling and mysterious phenomena reported across the globe, the hum. A strange, low-frequency sound that only certain people can hear, described as a droning, buzzing, or rumbling that seems to come from nowhere and everywhere at the same time. For decades, men and women in different countries have reported being tormented by this eerie sound, often in the dead of night, when the world is otherwise silent. Scientists have investigated, skeptics have dismissed it as imagination, and those who live with it insist it is very real. This is the story of the hum, a global mystery that refuses to be explained. The hum has been described in countless ways by those who hear it. Some call it a low, vibrating rumble, like a distant diesel engine idling in the distance. Others say it's like the deep hum of power lines, the thrum of machinery, or the faint buzzing of a swarm of insects. For some, it is subtle and barely noticeable. For others, it is overwhelming, invading their daily lives, disrupting their sleep, and driving them nearly to madness. The strangest part, not everyone can hear it. In fact, in many households, one person may be tortured by the sound while others in the same room hear nothing at all. The phenomenon first gained widespread attention in the 1970s, although reports go back much further. It became particularly famous in certain towns where the hum was so persistent and disturbing that it drew media attention and scientific investigation. Places like Taos in New Mexico, Bristol in England, and Largs in Scotland became infamous for their hums. Residents complained of being unable to sleep, suffering headaches, and feeling vibrations in their bodies even when no external source could be found. One of the most well-known cases is the Taos hum. In the early 1990s, residents of the small town of Taos began reporting a mysterious low-frequency sound that plagued their quiet community. The hum was described as a faint droning noise that seemed to come from the desert, yet no one could identify a source. Alarmed by the growing number of complaints, the U.S. Congress actually commissioned an investigation. Scientists, including sound experts and physicists, descended on Taos to measure, record, and analyze the phenomenon. Strangely, despite sophisticated equipment, the hum was never conclusively captured. Some researchers detected faint low-frequency vibrations, but nothing that could explain the widespread torment described by residents. The Taos hum became one of the first internationally known cases, and set the stage for decades of speculation. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, another hum was tormenting people in Bristol, England. Beginning in the 1970s, residents complained of a droning noise that was most noticeable at night. The Bristol hum was reported by hundreds of people and became so infamous that it sparked newspaper articles, radio discussions, and heated debates. Some believed it came from industrial machinery, while others thought it might be linked to traffic or underground utilities. But once again, investigations came up short. The sound could rarely be recorded, and no definitive source was ever identified. To this day, the Bristol hum remains one of the most documented yet unexplained versions of the phenomenon. But the mystery is not confined to Taos or Bristol. Reports of the hum have surfaced from Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, and Japan. In the town of Windsor, Ontario, residents were plagued by a powerful hum that rattled windows and caused widespread frustration. Investigations suggested it might have been linked to industrial operations on nearby Zug Island in the U.S., yet even after years of complaints, the exact mechanism remained elusive. In Kokomo, Indiana, in the early 2000s, a similar investigation was launched when residents complained of a low rumbling. There, investigators did trace some industrial Cipher compressors and cooling towers, but even after they were addressed, not all the complaints stopped. Some residents still claim to hear the hum. What makes the phenomenon even more baffling is the selectivity of perception. Estimates suggest that only about 2-5% of people in a given area can hear the hum. Why some are sensitive to it while others remain completely oblivious is one of the greatest puzzles. Those who hear it, often called hearers, describe it as an almost physical experience, as though the sound resonates inside their skulls or chest. Many report insomnia, anxiety, irritability, and even depression caused by the constant noise. Some have been driven to desperate measures, moving to remote areas or wearing earplugs constantly, though even earplugs do little to block the low, penetrating frequency. Science has tried to provide explanations, but none fully satisfy. One theory suggests that the hum is caused by industrial noise, factories, power plants, or pipelines generating low-frequency vibrations that travel long distances. Low-frequency sounds can carry for miles, bending around obstacles and seeping into buildings. Yet this explanation falters because the hum has been reported in rural areas far from industry, and instruments often fail to detect any significant noise in affected locations. Another theory points to tinnitus, a medical condition where individuals perceive sounds in their ears without an external source. However, tinnitus is usually described as a high-pitched ringing, not a low rumbling hum. More importantly, tinnitus is an individual condition, while the hum is reported simultaneously by groups of unrelated people in the same area. A more intriguing hypothesis involves low-frequency electromagnetic waves. Some researchers speculate that natural processes in the Earth's atmosphere or magnetic field could generate signals that only certain people perceive. Others believe it might be linked to military or communication technology, such as submarines using very low-frequency transmissions that leak into civilian spaces. These ideas fuel conspiracy theories suggesting that governments know more about the hum than they admit. Then, there are explanations that step into the paranormal. Some suggest that the hum is not a physical sound at all, but rather a kind of psychic phenomenon, a sensitivity to vibrations beyond normal hearing. Others claim it could be connected to UFO, extraterrestrial communication, or even hidden underground bases. While mainstream science dismisses such ideas, the persistence of the hum leaves room for speculation. Regardless of its cause, the hum has had very real effects on those who experience it. Stories abound of individuals tormented by sleepless nights, straining to find peace while a noise only they can hear drones endlessly in their heads. Some describe it as torture, a private torment invisible to the outside world. Communities have been divided between believers and skeptics, with those who hear the hum often ridiculed or dismissed as imagining things. Yet the sheer number of reports across decades and continents makes it hard to dismiss entirely. The hum has often been called the sound of silence turned against you, because it tends to strike at night, when the world is quietest. Imagine lying in bed in the dead of night, expecting peace, and instead you hear a low, mechanical droning that no one else around you acknowledges. It doesn't come from your neighbor's house, nor from passing cars, nor from airplanes overhead. It comes from nowhere and everywhere. For those who experience it, this makes the hum deeply unsettling, almost like a haunting. To understand the reach of the hum, let us look at some of the most famous cases around the world. One of the most extensively investigated hums occurred in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Residents there complained for years of a powerful rumble that shook homes, rattled windows, and unsettled entire neighborhoods. Unlike the Taos or Bristol hums, the Windsor hum was loud enough to be captured by some instruments, and investigations linked it to industrial activity on nearby Zug Island, a heavily restricted area of steel plants across the border in Michigan. Yet, even when plant activity fluctuated, the hum persisted. Some residents reported it becoming louder at certain times of year, while others claimed it followed no pattern at all. Despite years of complaints and government involvement, the Windsor hum has never been fully explained, leaving many suspicious that official investigations were incomplete. Then there is the Largs hum in Scotland. In the 1980s, residents of the seaside town began hearing a constant low rumble, so disturbing that it reportedly drove some people from their homes. Some claimed they could feel it vibrating through their walls. Others said it gave them headaches or nausea. The government investigated, suspecting machinery or ships as possible sources, but no definitive cause was ever found. Even after the official inquiry ended, reports from Largs continued, cementing the town's place in the global archive of hum mysteries. Kokomo, Indiana, is another significant case. In the early 2000s, hundreds of residents reported being disturbed by a mysterious low-frequency noise. After significant public pressure, officials conducted one of the most thorough investigations into the hum. They found two industrial sources that might have contributed, one being an air compressor, the other a cooling tower. Both emitted low-frequency sounds in the range that matched some complaints. Repairs were made to reduce the noise, but strangely, the reports did not stop entirely. This raised the unsettling possibility that while industrial sources may contribute to some hums, they do not explain all of them. Beyond individual towns, there are scattered reports from isolated individuals all over the world. People in rural areas, far from factories or heavy industry, describe being plagued by the same strange noise. Farmers in quiet countryside, families living in mountain regions, and even researchers stationed in remote environments have claimed to hear the hum. Its universality, stretching across cultures, continents, and environments, suggests that it is more than just industrial background noise. The effects on hearers can be devastating. Many describe sleepless nights, sometimes stretching into years, as the hum prevents them from getting rest. Some report constant headaches, pressure in their ears, or a vibrating sensation in their bodies. Others speak of anxiety, irritability, and even depression. In some tragic cases, individuals have reportedly taken their own lives after years of torment from the sound. For them, the hum is not a quirky mystery. It is a relentless and life-changing affliction. This suffering has fueled both skepticism and belief. Skeptics argue that the hum is a psychological phenomenon, amplified by suggestion. They point out that once news articles or documentaries highlight the hum in a region, more people suddenly report hearing it, as if awareness itself is contagious. They suggest that stress, tinnitus, or hypersensitivity to background noise could explain the phenomenon. Yet this explanation fails to account for the measurable effects in some places, like Windsor, where instruments did pick up strange low-frequency disturbances. Theories about the hum grow stranger the deeper we go. Some scientists suggest that the hum could be a natural phenomenon linked to the Earth itself. Low-frequency vibrations, sometimes called microseisms, are constantly produced by ocean waves interacting with the seafloor. These natural vibrations can travel vast distances through the Earth's crust. Could some people be unusually sensitive to these frequencies, perceiving them as a constant background hum? Others propose a link to the ionosphere, the charged layer of the atmosphere that reflects radio waves. The Earth is constantly bathed in natural electromagnetic activity, from lightning strikes, solar radiation, and even cosmic sources. Very low-frequency electromagnetic waves can circle the planet multiple times. Some researchers wonder if certain people might be able to perceive these frequencies in ways most cannot. Then there are the conspiracy theories. Some believe the hum is linked to secret government or military projects, such as submarine communication systems that use extremely low-frequency transmissions to reach vessels deep in the ocean. If such signals leak into civilian areas, they might be perceived as the hum. Others go further, speculating that it could be tied to experimental mind control technology, underground bases, or hidden energy experiments. While such ideas are generally dismissed by mainstream science, the secrecy surrounding military technology makes them difficult to completely rule out. On the more paranormal end of the spectrum, some suggest the hum might not be a sound at all, but rather a perception, something that exists in the mind rather than the air. This raises questions about whether the hum is a kind of collective auditory hallucination or even a psychic phenomenon. UFO enthusiasts point out that hum hotspots sometimes overlap with areas of strange sightings, suggesting a possible extraterrestrial connection. Could the hum be an unintended side effect of alien technology, or even a form of communication we don't understand? Regardless of the cause, the hum forces us to confront the limits of human perception. It is a mystery that sits on the border between science and subjectivity. Instruments often fail to capture it, yet thousands of people insist they hear it. It is both real and unreal, measurable and unmeasurable, physical and psychological. What makes the hum especially eerie is the way it seems to target only some individuals. Two people may live side by side, in identical houses, and only one hears it. A husband may suffer while his wife sleeps soundly. A neighborhood may be divided between hearers and non-hearers. This selective perception has led some researchers to wonder if the phenomenon is as much about biology as physics. Could certain ear structures, brain patterns, or genetic factors make some humans more sensitive to particular frequencies? If so, the hum may be revealing hidden differences in how humans interact with the environment. In the end, the hum remains one of the most persistent unsolved mysteries of our time. Despite investigations, despite theories, despite decades of complaints, no single explanation has ever been proven. It is at once a scientific puzzle, a psychological enigma, and a cultural phenomenon. The hum reminds us that the world around us still holds secrets, and that even in our age of technology, there are mysteries humming just beneath the surface of perception. Perhaps the hum is nothing more than overlooked industrial noise. Perhaps it is a quirk of human biology, or a resonance within the earth itself. Or perhaps, as some dare to imagine, it is a signal of something far greater, an unknown force, a hidden technology, or even a message from beyond. Until the day the mystery is solved, the hum will continue to haunt those who hear it, echoing in the quiet hours of the night, whispering through the walls of homes, reminding us that the universe is far stranger than we can imagine.